125 countries or so voted for a ceasefire. Yet the ceasefire hasn't come yet. Last night there was a blackout in Gaza. The telecoms were switched off. It is reported that it was the worst night of bombing in the last 20 or so days. Over 7,000 people have been murdered. Innocent people, Muslims and Christians. Over 7,000 of which, over 3,000 babies, women, elderly, they have been innocently targeted, unjustly targeted. And what are we going to do about it? People say, what's the point of protests? Let me narrate to you a story of a doctor who was invited to go to Gaza. Not this time round, a few years back. There's been brutality in that area for years now. He would never go to protests. When he arrived in Gaza, he found, what did he find? That the people of Gaza said to him, we find and we see videos of Muslims of all different backgrounds coming together in all parts of the world, raising their voices for us. When we see this, it gives us hope. So you must never think that over 500,000 Muslims that have gathered, and non-Muslims, in central London today has gone to waste. Those that gather in France, in Germany, countries that is banned to go and do protests. Those countries in the Arab world, I say this and I've been saying this for a few weeks now. The Muslim Ummah is no longer asleep. It's awoken. They've woken the giant. The only issue is that we as an Ummah are weak. We as an Ummah have become very weak. Why? Because our leaders are weak. It is because of weak leadership that the Ummah finds itself in the state it's in. But we must rise above that. And we must hold account those who are in positions of authority and power, that they must speak on our behalf. And more than speaking on our behalf, speak on behalf of the oppressed, those who have been unjustly treated, the Palestinian people. That's what we need to do. This is what we need to continue to do. We are bracing the cold, we are bearing the cold weather. We stand here in solidarity, in unity. For whom? For those where injustice is happening. Allah said in Al-Quran Al-Kareem, do not assume or think for a moment that Allah Almighty is unaware of what the unjust people do. He sees and He knows. But He's testing this ummah. And I'll tell you now, whatever Shuala Braverman, others, the Foreign Secretary can do to say you can't wave these flags and you cannot shout the slogans of Free Palestine, it will not stop the people. The power is with the people. We will continue to be with the people. Palestine. 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 From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. And we have to do our best here. We have democratic rights. Give the Palestinian people the rights they deserve. We demand a ceasefire. We demand that the blockade, that they open the Rafah borders so that humanitarian aid can reach the people. 7,000 is only what we know. There could be double, triple the numbers. The amount of bombs, the power of the bombs that have fallen on the people in Gaza, it is touching what happened in Hiroshima. That's how powerful the bombs have been. But wallahi, the strength Allah has given those people, He hasn't given to me and you. Allah is testing us here. But Allah has made them the strongest of mu'mins and believers on this earth. They are the chosen people. And we must continue to support and raise our voices for them. May Allah Almighty bless all those who have attended. This will not be the first time we will congregate and gather. We shall continue to do this until Palestine is liberated. The people of Palestine are given their rights and the freedom that they deserve. Jazakumullah khair, Allah reward you.
Allahu Akbar. Thank you very much, Imam. We've only got one more speaker left. Inshallah, we're going to be reading namaz here. So after the next speaker, we'll have the azan, and inshallah we'll lay out the prayer mats, and we're going to have the namaz here, inshallah. So next I'd like to call upon a very popular imam here in Bradford. He's the Imam and Khatib of Masjid Abu Bakr here near Bradford. I'd like to invite Maulana Fazl Sahab. Thank you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. Brothers, sisters, elders, young, old, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. You've been hearing quite a few speeches tonight. They've all had one specific theme running all the way through. And inshallah, that's the theme I'm going to finish up on. But before we go anywhere else in this speech, I want to make it a two-part speech. First, let's have a bit of a brief of Palestine. At the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, there was the Byzantine Empire. When the Prophet, peace be upon him, left us, after him was Abu Bakr, then Umar. At the time of Umar, Palestine, the rule was given to the Muslims. Umar radiallahu anhu went over there, and the Christians, they gave him the full respect, and they said, if your leader was to travel from Medina all the way to Palestine here, Al-Aqsa, we will hand him the keys. That's exactly what he did. He traveled hundreds of miles for the sake of peace and no bloodshed. And he reached all the way to Al-Aqsa, to Palestine. And the Christian leaders handed him over the keys. Umar radiallahu anhu, he stood in front of everybody and he said, I make truce. We will supervise this land. Everybody can live in here, regardless of your color, your faith, your background, your language, and you will all live in peace. And then he made a truce, which those who go to Palestine, you will see on the Masjid al-Umar. The Jews, the Christians, and the Muslims, they all lived in there with peace, harmony, love, and respect right from that day for almost 1,300 years. Everybody, the Muslims did not have a problem with the Christians, and the Christians did not have a problem with the Muslims, and the Muslims did not have a problem with the Jews, and the Jews did not have a problem with anybody else. People of faith, people of no faith, everybody lived in there until almost 100 years ago, when the British took over after the First World War, and they took over this land. I'm going to be very brief in the history. And then after a while, a group of people came to the British government. Here's reading for you. Read the Balfour Agreement, please. Everybody has the internet. Read the Balfour Agreement. The British government, later on, to this group of people said, this land belonged to the Palestinians. We're going to take it from them. We're going to keep it for a while. And then we're going to give it to another group of people. In George Galloway's word, people loathe him, love him, and just taking a quote. He said, one set of people came along, took the land of another people, and handed it to another people. That's what's happened. The Palestinians are saying, we've been here for thousands of years. This is our land. And the new group of people are saying, we've been given this land by the British. Those two are fighting, and the British are standing back, watching them fight. Hold it. Let me finish. You got to the point before I've got there. and the British government watching them fight. The British government standing back, watching them fight. Only on Wednesday, when all the nations in UN said, let's vote for a ceasefire. 2 days ago, when they said, let's vote for a ceasefire, 7,500 people. Wow. 7,500 people slaughtered. And your government, my government, your British and British, they said, we will veto it. Carry on blasting them.
Yes,
That's they said no to ceasefire. That's been the theme, if you notice, throughout our speeches. Ceasefire. Last but not least, I'm conscious of time. I want to bring you to the emotional side, because when you leave, I don't just want you to leave with speeches. I was reading Al Jazeera today. And be careful of which media you read. Indirectly, I'm telling you something. And the mothers over there, they began writing names of the children on their chests and on their body. Wallahi, when I read the whole article, I'm not going to tell you. And Sarah, that lady, says, I went to my relatives to take them over there. And they were doing the same. And I asked them, although I knew, why are you writing the names of these children on their bodies? And they said, I know by tonight or tomorrow, they will be no more. They will have hundreds of thousands of tons of concrete on them. But the one thing I will have in mind is that when, in many months to come, somebody clears this concrete, they will know at least the name of these children. Tonight, when you are with your children, when you are with your elderly, mom, dad, your sisters, your brothers, think of all those that were standing in that video with a huge slab of concrete, and his elderly mum was screaming from inside. But there was no heavy equipment to lift those big concrete slabs. And he was slapping his face and screaming and saying, I wish I could do something to pull my elderly mum. I'm not going to go into the statistics. Everybody's got a smartphone and they're all connected to the net. But one thing I will ask you to, that is, there is a lot of fake news. Try and sift it out. And those media that are anti-Palestinian, I'm being careful with the words, and their agenda is to degrade and disgrace the Palestinians, especially those innocent, you can write to them. You can put your views forward. If nothing else, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for them, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it a nice, peaceful world where we can all live in love and harmony. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.